everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a quick tutorial on how to paper piece with files from Little Scraps of Heaven. I recently purchased a couple, so that's the file I'm going to go ahead and use. I'm going to go down to my downloads, open it, and as you can see here, I already have my file here downloaded from Little Scraps of Heaven. Now I'm doing this tutorial because when I learned about paper piecing files, which was about over a year ago, I didn't really see videos on YouTube on the how-to, and somebody recently requested I do this tutorial, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. I hope this helps. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on my file, which is the Good Night. I'm going to double click, and I am working on a MacBook Air 2019. Now here's the SVG files. So the first one I'm going to download is I'm going to click on it and drag it. This is the PNG. This is the file we'll be working on today. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the SVG file. I'm going to click it and drag it into my Silhouette. And I do have the Designer Plus edition. And let me just show you something. I'm going to click on this one and drag it in as well. Okay, when I first learned about Little Scraps of Heaven, I didn't know. I was downloading only this into my Silhouette. I didn't know that they had this. So I was doing it the long and the hard way, which is quite ridiculous. I was using my trace option in order to trace this, clicking on release compound path, and then separating all my layers, when all along they offer this to you. So let's go ahead and get started on this and forget this one. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Here I'm going to go to this is where you're able to group and ungroup. I'm going to ungroup everything. And all we're going to do now is just assemble it together just as you see here. So let's go ahead and get started on the body. So this is the neck, the head. Okay. Now it doesn't need to be perfect right now because we're just putting it together in order to fit it into our layout. All this you'll be cutting out through cardstock, so you will still need to assemble it later. So right now you're just trying to get a size for it. Okay, and here is where you're able to move it around. Now it looks like he or she has the little hair right here. Let's go ahead and bring these over. So as you can see, it's really quite simple to use your paper piecing file on your Silhouette. It's just the way that I was using it at first, over a year ago. Again, I didn't find any direction. I didn't see anything on YouTube on how to assemble them. So I was doing it the long way. And this is so simple. Okay, let's see. So it looks like this is their foot. Okay, this we have to move it, and it becomes their arm. This giraffe is so cute. I'm really into giraffes right now. I'm doing a layout for my son and it's giraffes as well. And you see here how I brought in this the bottom part of the tiny little bear. It automatically knew that you were trying to put it underneath the arm. It's already set up for you. Okay, we're almost done. And oh. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect because we're just trying to size it right now. You will be cutting it out on cardstock and assembling better once you cut it out. So after you're done, what you're going to do is highlight all of it and group it together. Again, this is where you're able to group it. Now, you could either leave it as is. It's currently at 6 inches, 3.5 by 6 inches. Let's see here. So when I do my layouts, I do all my layouts on my computer. My inside paper usually measures 11.5 by 11.5, and I usually have a thing going on, and I'll go ahead and bring my paper piecing items over here, and depending on what I'm doing, it's how I'll size it. You know, I'll make it a little bit bigger or make it smaller, it just depends. So let's pretend we want it at 7 inches. Okay. So now what we're going to do, you see these items right here. These are your registration marks. Your registration marks are in case you would like to do a print and cut. That's if you were doing this one instead. If you wanted to do a print and cut, you would use your registration marks in order for after you print it out, when you put it into your Silhouette, it knows exactly where it needs to cut, and it goes around your paper piecing file. I'm sorry, your die cut, but we're not doing that. We're actually going to use this one. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. So we're going to go to this area right here, which is your page setup. You're going to click on this one and remove your registration marks by clicking off. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and ungroup this. Here we go. And now we're going to group our colors together. So let's go ahead and start off with our green. I usually have a couple of pieces of leftover cardstock from other projects. So I usually am able to cut a couple of colors at a time. We'll put our blues over here. This is a different shade of blue, so we'll wait on that. Okay. Put our pink over here. Okay, and next thing you're going to do, you're going to click on send. Okay, and I usually use a heavier cardstock than your regular usual paper. So I'm not going to use my tool 1. I'm actually going to use my tool 2. Most of the time, I prefer to use my tool 2. For some reason, I have better luck using this one. I'm able to, you know, just I just have better luck. So I only use tool 1 when I have that very thin paper from the paper stacks I usually have like 180 sheets. That's when I'll use it. Otherwise, it'll be my tool 2. So I'm going to highlight everything by clicking and highlighting everything, and I'm going to click on cut. So I'm going to make sure that nothing is overlapping, because if it's overlapping like this, it'll cut it out. So let's make sure nothing is overlapping. Give it enough space. So let's pretend we're grabbing our 12 by 12 mat, where we'll go ahead and add our pieces of scrap that we currently have. So what I'm going to do, I don't usually put it on plain cardstock. I usually head on over to glitter. I'm going to make sure it's only passing once, and this is to my liking. Unfortunately here, you don't get to pick the speed. You actually have to do it manually on your blade. So if you want to move it to 9, even if you hit 9 here, it's not going to cut it. It's going to cut how you have it on your knife. So you would go and adjust it there, and then everything else is fine. Usually when it's actual glitter paper, you'll need to, for the passes, you need to move it to 2, but I'm just using regular cardstock. So if everything is perfectly fine, my silhouette is not connected, but I would afterwards just click on send. And as soon as it's done, you'll go back to your design. I zoom out, highlight everything, move it to the side, and we'll do our next step. So let's go ahead and put our darker brown over here, the lighter tone, and so forth. I really hope this little example helped out for you. If you guys have any questions or any ideas of what you would like to see, please leave a comment for me. I try and I do my best to reply to them as much as I can. Thank you so much for taking the time to see this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye for now.